What's up, Bulldogs? Alright, so today I'm going to be answering in this video the question of how to not care what people think about you. Because it's easy to say, well, just don't care what people think about you, but that's not always the easiest thing to execute. So stay tuned in this video. I'm going to be answering exactly and giving you some step-by-step instructions on how to not care what people think about you. What's up, guys? Sonmez here from BulldogMindset.com. If you're just joining me for the first time, you are in the right place, my friend, because on this channel, I teach you how to develop the Bulldog Mindset. It's how you get everything that you want out of life and to become the kind of person that you want to become the most in life. Everything from fitness to finance to building wealth and to relationships and social skills. You'll find it all here and more. So click that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and go ahead and click that little bell so you get notifications on all the videos that come out on this channel. In order for you to really stop seeking external validation from other people and to really chart your own course and to live your life and to be able to actually really be successful, because when you care what people think about you, it hurts you in many ways in your life. One of the main ways that it hurts you is it inhibits your action. And so you're limited in your action. If you think about it, a good way to think about this is like chess, right? So what is the most valuable piece in chess? It's the queen, right? Now, why is the queen the most valuable piece? Because her actions are the least limited. She can move diagonally, she can move up, down, left, and right. And so by having that movement, having more options, more ways that she can move, she's more powerful. It's the same thing with you in your life, is that if you are uninhibited, if you have more actions to choose from, you're going to have more power in your life, and that's why it's really, really important. The other second thing about not caring what people think about you is this: when you don't care what people think, you exude confidence, and confidence is important in many areas of life. Everything from attracting a love interest, right? It is a highly desirable trait, especially you guys that are, I know there's a lot of like bullshit on the internet too that says, oh, confidence doesn't matter. It fucking matters. It makes a really big difference. So let's get into the question here. I got this question from Max, and he says, hi, John, could you please answer a question? Sure. All right. There's this idea that you often talk about of not caring what others think, living life for yourself, having your self-validation come from yourself and not others. I understand this idea and I believe that it is correct. The question is, how do I develop myself to be this way? What are the most effective ways? Books, actions, habits, mindsets. Thank you, Max. So there's two components to this. There's the not caring what others think and living life for yourself. The root of this comes from living life for yourself. This is sort of the root of this. You can't really not care what other people think if you're living your life for other people. That may look like obligations that you're allowing people to put on you, or expectations that they have for you that you are trying to live up to. It's the same thing as obligations. Is that you're living your life for external validation. What does that mean, to live your life for yourself? Does it mean to be extremely selfish and only care about yourself? No, it doesn't quite mean that, but there is a root of selfishness in it, and it is a critical component, and it is important, and I'll tell you why. If you're compelled in your actions, if what you're doing and the way that you're living your life is not true, is not coming from what you actually desire and want to do, then your actions have less meaning. Right? So let me give you an example here, a real simple one, right? Because we all sort of fall into this one, which is that, a holiday comes, okay, and it's time to give gifts. And so you buy a gift and you give it to someone, and a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times you have this obligation to give a gift for a birthday, for Christmas, for Valentine's Day, something like that. Does that gift have very much meaning? Now, in some cases it does. There's definitely, but for the most part, you can probably understand that it is just fake. It has no real meaning. There's no real thing happening. If we are living our lives for ourselves, then when we say words, when we say I love you, when we pay compliments even, and we say, I like what you're doing, or I want to help you, or any of those things, when we offer up something to someone else, right? Whether it be compassion, whether it be congratulations, okay? Sometimes we give fake congratulations in life. Whatever it is, what our expressions of love to the world, our expressions of ourselves are true. They're authentic. Because there's not an ulterior motive, there's not a sense of obligation, and that is why it's so critical. If you're not freely living your life, if you're constrained by these obligations, if you're constrained by what other people think, if you're constrained by the expectations that people put on you, by guilt, okay, by things like that, you are going to not be true in your actions, and they're going to be less meaningful. I'm not saying that you can't possibly do things that are meaningful, but for the most part, it is a fake layer. You cannot really love someone else until you love yourself. Why? Because you will be jealous. Jealousy will be there, right? Because you are always going to some degree, from a biological nature, take care of yourself first, right? If you're hungry, you're gonna eat, whatever you're missing. So you have to fulfill yourself. You have to have that so that you can give to other people. When you try to give when you don't have, you're envious and it's fake. So when we talk about validation, what it means is that basically we determine our worth, okay, or we check our worth against something, okay? And when we seek external validation, what we're seeking for someone to say, you're good enough, you're attractive enough, you're capable enough, you're a valuable human being. For the most part, you can think of validation as answering the question, am I good enough? And looking for the answers for someone else, for something, for some person, for some girl to tell you that you are good enough, you're lovable, you're good enough as you are. If you're connected to that external validation, if your valuation of yourself, if you need that in order to feel like you are a capable person, that you're good enough, then you're always going to be connected to what someone else wants from you or thinks of you. You're going to be under that control. So how can you have a need for external validation and not care what other people think? If you have a need for external validation, if your sense of worth needs to be validated by an external source, by someone else, then how can you not care what they think? You obviously care what they think. First major step in not caring what other people think is shifting the validation from the external to the internal. So what we have to do is we have to redirect that, and we have to choose the self-validation path. The self-validation path says that we define our standards for ourselves, and we don't base them on what other people think or what other people's standards are. We base them truly, and you might have to go into some deep thought to figure this out, but we base them truly on what we find valuable. In an overall sense, do I believe, I love the person that I am in my life and these things? Of course. But it doesn't mean that I'm automatically just handing out the treat and saying, good job, John, when it's not good job. How do you actually care or not care what other people think? If you've done the two things that I've talked about first, if you've taken control of your life and you're living your life for yourself, and you have shifted the validation from external validation to internal validation, you're already pretty damn close, because at that point, what do you care what other people think? The next step is really important, which is this, and this is how you actually train yourself to do this. And you can do these things simultaneously, and you should. So the main thing here that you can train is to face and overcome fears. Because again, if we look at what we've done so far, some of the other things I've talked about, what is the reason why you do not go down the street screaming? I did some video where I said, you should scream, I have a purple penis. It was kind of similar. I think it might have even been addressing this exact question. The main reason why you don't do that is because you care about the judgment of other people, what they'll actually think of you. As much as you can separate the external validation part, okay, and you can live your life for yourself, it still doesn't enable you to run down the street screaming, I have a giant purple penis, okay? Well, the only way to get past that is to train yourself to actually do stuff like that. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to do that, but to step forward, and when you're in those fearful situations, to just go ahead and do it. We don't want to lose track of our own standards and our own internal validation. So That's why you're not just going to go out and just start yelling random shit and just being an idiot, because that would cause you to lose respect for yourself. That's really the formula for this, is putting this into practice, facing those fears over and over again. I was just talking to someone, just coaching someone who was actually, somewhat suicidal, and I was telling them, I'm like, okay, like one of the things that was driving them crazy, that was actually making them feel suicidal, was that they had this major social anxiety, right? And so my answer to them was real simple. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to kill yourself, if that's what you're planning to do, you might as well just go out there and make a fool of yourself. You might as well just go and talk to people and just say whatever comes to your mind, because you really have nothing to lose at that point. Like when you think about it, like the greatest thing that you have to lose in your life is your life, or time, right? And they're both connected. So why not just go and take it? And that's we can all adopt that same principle in our lives, right? We're all dying, okay? Surprise, you're dying right now, and you're going to die. So you've got nothing to lose, because your life is already forfeit. It's already gone. You're going to lose it. So you might as well just live it. You might as well just say whatever you want to say. You might as well make a fool of yourself in the eyes of other people, because it doesn't matter as long as it's true to you. And that's the key to that. You've got nothing to lose. There's no harm that can come from this, and that the growth will come from this. And if you understand these ideas of validation, you're going to have a lot more success. But, practically, right, if I could leave you with one last piece of this, again, it's just, you have to, in those situations, like there's no easy, like everyone wants this easy thing, right? They want me to give you some kind of magic bullet or some kind of solution to overcome fear. And, and I tell people this all the time, and you should really take note of this. Fear is an emotion, and we cannot control our emotions. Emotions come. Now, what we can do is we can choose how to respond. And one thing that's great about fear, one thing that you should respect and love about fear, is that in it, we are all equal. The brave man is just as afraid as the scared man, right, when he has fear, right? Fear hits us all equally. Now, the difference between the brave man and the scared man is that the brave man consistently chooses, despite of that fear, that equal playing field, he chooses courage. He chooses bravery. We all have different levels of fear and different things that scare us, but we all have that ability. There's nothing I can give you. There's no magic pill. There's no solution that I can give you to not have the fear. But I can tell you that as far as overcoming the fear, fear strikes us the same way. What is the consequence that could happen from it? A few minutes of embarrassment? What really is the consequence of not caring what other people think, right? Or taking that chance on fear, having that bravery? For the most part, there is no major consequence from it. So you're just living your life caring what other people think without even having a consequence to not doing that. So, all right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Again, if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, do it now. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.